and says there's 6 people waiting. 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 And says there's 6 people waiting.
Hello, world.
Hi.
Hello, world. We are coming to you live from Harlingen and San Antonio. Welcome, everyone. Those who are tuning in, I believe our chat is live. So if you have any questions throughout this stream, just drop them in the chat and we'll be mindful of checking it, especially towards the end where we can answer any questions you have. But thank you for tuning in to our volunteer info session. This stream will be recorded and added to our website later this week, along with an interest form, and we'll talk more about that later. So you'll be able to check all this out, get all this information, and review it later on as well. We're also going to be working on getting some translations for our captions and translations for this video so that we can serve both English and Spanish speaking future volunteers. We're bilingual here, and even though I'm extremely pocha, we'll try and maybe code switch a bit, right, Monica?
Yeah, pues buenas noches. Gracias por estar aquí. We're super excited to invite folks and just also excited that you're curious to work with us in these capacities. Esta sesión de voluntario o información de voluntario es una manera que queremos activar la comunidad y tratar de ver cómo podemos colaborar y también trabajar juntos, ¿verdad? O juntas. Y pues sí, estamos aquí para informarles. Y si tienen preguntas, pueden poner cosas en el chat. Y pues, ok, yo también soy pocha, pero con el A y con el S.
Es más mejor de mí. Okay, well, let's get started, and we'll try and do some live translating as we can, but like we mentioned, we will translate in the future. So hello everyone, I am C. Díaz. I am one of the co-founders and current worker owner at ENTRE Film Center and Regional Archive, based here in the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas. Our headquarters are in Harlingen, but we serve the entire region. And Monica, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Monica Sosa. I am the other worker owner at ENTRE. I'm based out of San Antonio, but pretty hybrid between here and home. And yeah, just excited to share a little bit more about all of us through this presentation.
Yes. So today, oh, well, we want to go back to what we do a little bit. So, Entre, if you've heard of us, you're probably tuning in because you've heard of us, you want to work with us. But if you're not sure who we are and what we're doing, I wanted to share a little bit about our background. So, we're an artist-run community film center and regional archive that focuses on the creation, exhibition, and preservation of community-made cinema, documentary, video art, and other forms of alternative cinematic expression. And our mission is to provide access, knowledge, and skills in filmmaking and archival practices, inviting more voices to document, share, and preserve the vast narrative of the U.S.-Mexico border community. Monica, you want to say a little bit about what we offer our 4-county area?
Yeah, so offerings include screenings, workshops, different trainings. We have an AV library that is open for you to peruse whenever you want to come and visit the space. There's gear rental. You know, we are constantly working on expanding and finding ways to source materials so that we can share with community, and also knowledge shares. Our space is a co-working space that has free Wi-Fi, so if you want to ever come and work here at Entre, not in San Antonio, you're totally welcome to. We have like fellowships and residencies that we also want to continue as the future continues. Digitization stations. I can't say that. We're always. And then also just want to put emphasis that, Entre is here to serve the Rio Grande Valley. This is our home. We want to see, our community members have access to the tools that they need for creative expression, for collective knowledge and healing, through an art form that often is not accessible, especially in our region. So we're happy to, work and build with and for community. And yeah, Entre es entre todo.
It sure is. Entre, yeah, we have a lot of things that we offer and that we dream of offering for the community. So, yeah, we're excited you're here so you can tune in and see how you can become a part of that. All right, now we can go to the next slide.
Let's see. It's lagging a bit.
Okay.
Okay, there it goes.
All right, well, just a little bit about who we are. I mean, we introduced ourselves earlier. I'm originally from Rio Grande City. That's where I grew up and spent most of my childhood. That's in Starr County, but now I live in Harlingen, but I've lived in Mission and in McAllen, so I'm slowly making my way towards the coast. And Monica is...
Yeah, I'm originally born and raised and rooted in Brownsville, Texas. My family, everyone has lived there for generations, and it's somewhere that I just continue to want to be a part of, even if I'm not there. And so I'm excited to, do this work and continue to invest in our home.
Yes, so Entre has multiple meanings. We like to say entre as it is a Spanish word. So in Spanish it means between, among, and within, and that really encapsulates the ethos and spirit of the work that we're doing. We're hoping to be the bridge between connecting communities, connecting people with resources, connecting institutional spaces with grassroots organizing spaces and individual artists and activists. So we like to think of ourselves as that liminal in-between space that's always shifting and expanding and contracting and what's the word? Adjusting to whatever needs we need.
Yeah. And then adding a little bit, maybe we can share a little bit about our backgrounds, and things that we are currently bringing as artists, as organizers. So take it away. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I am a filmmaker, an artist, and an archivist. So a lot of my experiences are brought into Entre to help share and well, I just like sharing what I've learned with others, so that they can take that skill set or knowledge and really like remix it for whatever they want to do with their art or just any sort of expression. And yeah, now these past few years I've been really into the more arts administrative world, which I was not ever expecting myself to fall into, but it seems like me and Monica are both really good at it. So we are able to run this org and continue to grow it together, and also create our own art while we're doing this work, because it's important that we model that as artists we can also be organizers, we can also be community leaders, we can also create spaces and organizations like ENTRE that serve, you know, just beyond a self-serving nature. It is for the community, for others, for the future, and for the betterment of our community and our region. Monica?
Just to share that too, like yeah, we come to this with a lot of like love and just like lived experience in these spaces, and really think about, like C and I are talking about like solidarity principles and ways that we want to build the infrastructure. So there's definitely a lot of like back end stuff when we consider like who is Entre. And you know, at this time, like it's C and I as full-time worker owners, and you know, we continue to work as arts administrators. We do a lot of computer stuff, so sometimes we're in all places. You know, although again, we like have become a part of like certain cohorts, we always aim to bring whatever resources or knowledge we come back to. And I guess that's kind of like me in this way too. You know, like my background is really in supporting artists, marginalized artists, uplifting actions, and you know, direct action and like grassroots efforts, especially in terms of, you know, taking care of each other, that collective power, empowering and inspiring one another, and like remembering that we're community members too. You know, so how do we build with one another while also modeling the things that we want to see in our lives? And for us, like C and I are always like, we're committed to this work, but you know, at what cost? Because what we've seen over and over again is people burn out or people lose passion and fire. And for us, like it's important for us to change that and build alternative realities for our community to exist and thrive. So
Yes.
yeah, arts admin. I call myself a rascuache tlacuache artist because I make stuff out of nowhere. I like to dumpster dive. I was a florist. I've done installation art. I'm a big segundera. So repurposing and seeing beauty in things that might have been like thrown out is kind of a love language. But yeah, that's a little bit about my background.
And we can go to the next slide, I think.
Ah,
There.
okay.
Okay. So, yeah, just talking about how me and Monica are the worker owners currently at ENTRE. ENTRE is a worker-owned cooperative. We're not a nonprofit. We like to make that distinction very clear. And the reason for that is because in addition to all the dreams and ideas and experiences that we bring to the table here at ENTRE, we also want to see a different future for just in general, like and a shift of power with like who has power in saying what happens in society and things like that. And I think worker-owned cooperatives are a vehicle for bringing power to the people, and having a sense of agency and ownership over the work that you're doing, rather than being just an employee or pawn to a larger institution to carry out their work for them. So we come to this work with a lot of love, like Monica mentioned, and it's because we want to build something that's new, that's different, and that can be sustained into the future. But that requires more than just two people. It requires a lot of different people, a lot of different experiences, and so we just wanted to say, like, Entre and friends, you know, we consider our volunteers, which we're going to be talking about today. Our volunteers become like family to us. A lot of the people that have shown up throughout these past few years have become extremely integral to the film center, to the spaces that we create and curate throughout the valley and beyond. So we just, from the bottom of our hearts, want to thank everyone so far who has volunteered with us. And I see some of y'all in the chat, Adi, Vivi, Thomas, y'all are amazing. And we can't really do this work without this help. Do you want to explain a little bit of the little images we have down there, Monica?
Yeah, so a little bit of what we do with the Film Center and Regional Archive, like we really aim to bridge advocacy, memory, our lived experiences and histories with moving images, like community made cinema, just experimental art, whether it's for personal or community kind of like expression, right? So on the left is a workshop that C has brought to ENTRE and facilitated numerous times. We just had one in San Ignacio. But this is Cine Sin Cámara, like a movie, essentially an animation, created with community, with DIY tools, right? Kind of really showing that we're especially in this like capitalistic consumer type of nature, we are under this impression that we constantly need to upgrade to certain tools or like certain things, but the practice is there, and it's really like we want to encourage people to look into themselves and access materials that might be that entryway. But yeah, it's really cool to kind of see these things come together and just intersect.
Yeah, and on the right, you'll see.
I'll go to the next.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I think our things are lagging a little bit, so forgive us. We're presenting from two different cities. Yeah, the next slide.
All right, there we go.
All right. Okay, so what we like, there's this expression in Spanish that's cada cabeza es un mundo. My mom always says this, my grandma always says it. Like, we all have a full world in our minds, in our heads, full of our memories, our experiences, our perspectives, how we move through the world. That informs the way we move through the world. And we try to keep this in mind when we are designing programming and doing any outreach, thinking about how people from all walks of life can interact with our offerings. And yeah, here are some examples of things we've done in the past. Some Cine Sin Cámara, facilitation at a local library, free archive learning sessions last fall that were facilitated to get people hands-on experience with different film and video archival materials and methodologies. Home Movie Day, which we'll talk about later, which is one of our favorite holidays here at ENTRE. Our oral histories. Monica, do you want to talk about a little bit about the oral history in Boca Chica?
Yeah, so of course, you can see the flyer. That was actually our first home movie day. And like, this is when we launched our Boca Chica Corazón Grande. And we always kind of laugh about it because we're like, oh, we're going to do this in like months, right? And obviously it's like changed into a lifelong project. But yeah, because we talk about cada cabeza es un mundo, we also prioritize like written, like oral histories, because a lot of the time they're discredited. But these are our practices, right? These are ancestral practices that, are important to share and document and archive so that future generations can have that. Because especially now, you're seeing elders pass, and so much knowledge and wisdom is like gone with them. So that world is no longer here. And so our goal through Boca Chica Corazón Grande, and hopefully other regional archival like projects that we hope to kind of work on in the future, are opportunities for us to really push against institutional methods of archiving and engaging with community. We recently did an oral history production, my very first. I was like, oh my God, I'm a director now. But yeah, it was awesome because we got to engage with, a longtime contributor, Mary Helen Flores, who has been very instrumental and just like a wonderful partner and contributor. And has so much lived experience, and having the opportunity to hear her speak and share her her life story in connection to Boca Chica is just incredible. And so we really want to continue to build those relationships with community members and hopefully encourage folks to cross over and become like archivists themselves, right? Community archivists, whether it's for personal family history or just getting engaged and wanting to learn more about where we come from. But yeah, it's I'm on, we're again in love with the work we do. We really try to find all these ways for it to translate and build upon. Oh my gosh, I think I went silent. But anyway, Cada Cabeza es un Mundo, and we are here to try to work and build because we want to know about your worlds, and we want to know, and what world are we creating together? What have we done? Like, we're really special. Like, the border's no joke, and here we are, just like, I don't know. It's really amazing to see community members in their elements, and again, Entre is really here to serve y'all and to build with y'all and create with y'all, and so
Yes.
I'll stop there.
Yeah, and so all of these things required volunteers, and that's why we're here today. I just want to make sure we get to all these roles, but just to give you like an overview of all the things we've been doing, all of these offerings require more people to help us out and to also become part of these projects with us, and maybe even one day lead something on your own, and we could talk more about that later. So if we want to go to the next slide. So yeah, volunteering at Entre. There's going to be a lot of ways y'all can get involved. We've got the film programming committee, we've got the archive working group, street team, garden club, community engagement, and general volunteering. These are the kind of roles that we've like kind of broken it down over the past 4 years, seeing how people come into the space and work with us in these volunteer positions. So now we've taken that information and kind of distilled it into these categories. And we're going to go through each category, so that way you can learn a little bit more about the roles and responsibilities. And then, we'll answer questions at the end of everything.
So collective care and people power, again, a demonstration of how we've already been collaborating with community and, again, like are so grateful for those who have continuously shown up in all capacities, right? Whether it's behind the scenes or, building tents at the beach or organizing and collaborating as artists and designers and providing their feedback. Creating a whole like experimental film festival like with one another, like all these things are incredible, and we want to really uplift that. And we always again talk about how in so many traditional like nonprofit or community centers or like spaces, there is just that I think what we are trying to build is this distribution of power, of wealth, of knowledge, and shared responsibility, because as a community and people who take on these positions as community representatives or organizers or activists or artists, there is that opportunity for us to connect and empower and really support and uplift all of our work. So again, thank you to all our volunteers. I'm going to the next slide.
Yeah. Okay. This is the big one, guys, or guys, gals, and everyone here. The Film Programming Committee. If you've been with us for the past couple years, especially last year was wild in how much we programmed at Entre. Thanks in part to all the community programmers we had with us, and Andres Sanchez, who was leading all the programmers in the efforts of booking our calendar out with fun screenings for our community. We are looking to create a film programming committee this coming year, because we want to see our micro cinema and other spaces in the Valley have more consistent and regular programming. 2024 was a movie. Yes, it was. We had a lot going on that year. But yes, okay, so the Film Programming Committee, this is the big one that we're trying to fill in the next couple months. And this all these volunteer roles are on a rolling basis. So there's no timeline or anything that you need to sign up for. If you don't have capacity now, don't worry about it. It's going to be around later on. But the thing that we really want to create is this committee so that we can have more capacity around showing more films here at our headquarters in Harlingen, and also dreaming up cool new spaces, venues, communities to screen films that are locally made or contemporary filmmakers, some archival work, some restorations, some popular like independent cinema, documentary, all these things that we've been sharing these last few years. We want to see more of it happening. We're seeing the need for a space like ours where you can come in, watch a movie, and have a discussion around it. As well as, as a programmer, you kind of train yourself on how to do public speaking and present your work and have thoughtful conversations with community. And so what we're hoping to do is create this film programming committee. The team will be trained by myself and Monica on various protocols that we've noticed these past couple years on how to run a screening. So how to open and close the space, what are the roles that need to be filled, like doing tech at the projection booth, welcoming people at the door, running the concession stand. You've seen us do it. If you've been around, you've seen me or Andres or Monica even run a screening on their own. And it is pretty wild to do that. It requires at least 3 people at this point, that what we've seen, just to keep things flowing so that no one's overextended. We want to create a culture of support and space for people to have a life and also program, so this doesn't become your whole world. It's just part of it and a cherry on top of your life, right? So yes, we'll be providing training. We'll be also connecting you with resources. If you decide to join if this is something you're interested in, we'll be connecting you with resources to different communities, distributors, filmmakers, different ways, archives, things you can look to for inspiration and relationships you can start building with these different organizations and people, so that you can bring their work to the Rio Grande Valley. We also will be creating a monthly budget for the film programming committee that will allow for the committee to choose and book, pay licensing fees for certain films, speaker fees for anything that has someone speaking about the film afterwards, and stipends for some of the programmers. We're going to go into more detail about all of these different groups in different meetings, but just an overview will be given here. So I just want to end it with this, is that we are shifting to a seasonal calendar for 2026. If you've seen me or Monica around, or you've had conversations with us, we've been talking about this for months. It's something that we feel will ease stress on all our lives to be scrambling for a calendar each month. We want to look ahead and give ourselves time to intentionally book films and think a little bit more deeply about what we're bringing to the Valley. So starting spring 2026 in March is when we're going to launch the new calendar, which will go from March, April, May. That will be the spring season. And so if you're part of the film programming committee, you'll be booking 3 months at a time. Which is fun to think about if you're someone who has booked with us before. I see Martin and Alexis in here. If you've booked with us before, you've been a programmer with us before, you've done a program series where it's like multiple films over the course of a few months. So this is a way for you to plan ahead with that type of work as well. So this is open to all experience levels. You don't have to have programmed before with us to be a part of the committee. All you need is a love for cinema.
And community and working in collaboration.
That too.
Because at the same time, we want to be intentional about even this as an offering, right? Like, what's the shared knowledge and experiences that we can have? Yes, bringing in a very unique screenings and programs and people, while also, uplifting regional work, right? Like right here at the bottom corner, there's the RGV Music Video Showcase that was done in collaboration with Breaker Breaker. And like, these are opportunities to work with, all these different avenues, and really engage it through film and cinema, right? Like, what are some themes that we're seeing in the Valley that might resonate? Like, is there a film that you think can uplift a community member's like work, or something that's happening that we've always been seeing on the border? So, also inviting people not just to be experimental, but also like, working through values and like what you want to see as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Monica. The Archive Working Group is the other volunteer group that we're looking to build in the coming months, especially for our upcoming Home Movie Day this November. More info on that soon. Some of the projects you'll be supporting if you want to join this Archive Working Group is the Boca Chica Corazon Grande Community Archival Project. That is an ongoing project for us. The Rio Grande Valley Home Movie Collection, which we are just getting into reviewing all the collections, the videos, talking to contributors, learning more about their collection and their memories, and building a database so that way in a few years we can have a public-facing digital repository that people can search through and learn from. And of course, Home Movie Day. Home Movie Day is one of our favorite holidays at ENTRE. This year, it's going to be on Sunday, November 16th. We'll be releasing. Yes, we'll be releasing more information about that soon. I'm sorry, I think I cut you off, but we're calling it a wachaton. It's going to be a wachaton. That means we're inviting our community, our contributors to watch their films with a trained volunteer, and the volunteer will be like the scribe and taking notes about what is coming up for them as we're watching the film. So it's a watchathon, but we're calling it a wachathon because we're here in the Valley and we thought that was funny. So some of the roles that will be filled in this group would be the collection reviewer. So that means watching a collection and providing detailed notes and summaries for each item. This is very slow moving work, but it's for folks that enjoy media making, history, research. So that's something that you would be doing in this group if that sounds interesting to you.
A question just came in about, will volunteering overlap, or are we looking for more for people to be in a single group? That's a really great question.
It's a great question. Yes, I think you can volunteer in multiple areas if you feel so inclined. We just ask that and you'll see that later when we share our interest form at the end of this call. Or at the end of this session. We have an interest form that kind of breaks down the roles and availabilities. So, you can try also different roles out and see what you like best. You don't have to stay in one group if it's not something you're resonating with. But yeah, feel free to try, try volunteering in different groups for different events, and see where you feel yourself fitting in best. It's basically exploration and experimentation. And so, yeah, I think we're open to people being in multiple groups as long as they're aware of their own capacity, and what they can show up for.
Then that just committing to what we can, right? Again, working in our ethos, embodying our values, making sure we're taking care of ourselves to take care of others. And yeah, as you said, there's some elements to this that are really slow because, again, we want to work with intention, with genuine curiosity and respect that can be reciprocated and worked on as we build the relationships that we want to see with contributors and community members. Another element also is, just having that opportunity to engage with community, right? And considering, and these are other areas, as C said, that we'll really work through, and but considering the way that we want to engage in, again, very different models that allow for people to feel seen, heard, appreciated, recognized, and also just engaged, right? We're not parachuting into things and then like popping out. We want people to feel that, this is, we need to recognize and share gratitude for the value that community members are bringing with sharing this really intimate and vulnerable stories. And some of them are hard and some of them are really gorgeous and inspiring. And so we need those dualities and that flow as the borderlands, right? The ability to cross and learn of all the ways that we exist here.
Thank you, Monica. I just want to, I wanted to finish up that slide because we answered a question in between. So
Oh, yeah.
I talked about the collection reviewing is one of the tasks that you would be doing in this group. Another one would be digitizing media. So if you've never digitized a VHS tape or scanned a photo, we train you on all of that. We have a digitization station set up at ENTRE, and we're able to digitize tape media, documents, and photographs. So those are things that we'll need help around. So that's also another task and role that the working group will be doing. And then contributor liaisons, exactly what Monica was talking about earlier, developing those relationships, having this is really good for people who enjoy talking to people, have deep listening skills, enjoy hearing stories, can be present with the person, and want to learn more from others. So this is, if that's you, this is a role for you.
Yeah.
And then the last one on this, in this section, and other things will probably pop up, but these are like kind of the high level sections. But the equipment inventory and maintenance. So if you've been to ENTRE, you've seen our gear closet, you know all the stuff we have. We have a lot of analog gear, we have a lot of digital gear. Part of the working group will be kind of just taking stock of our gear, what we have, does it work, does it need to get maintenance, stuff like that. Tinkering, if you're a tinkerer and you like to fix things, this is also a good role for you in this group, because sometimes some of our stuff breaks and, me or Monica don't have time to like tinker and work on it sometimes. So it'd be helpful if someone who does love doing that work, can come in and kind of play around with it. And even just like tinkering to like experiment with the gear that we have, and then sharing your findings with us, and maybe we can turn that into a workshop, so there's all these ways that these roles kind of are iterative and can add to the ecosystem of ENTRE. All right, that's for
All
the
right, one
archive.
last thing.
Yes, go. Go.
I think just one thing I want to mention is the way we are also approaching like the continued growth of ENTRE is like as archivists, like we're like, okay, we have to document these things. We have to like organize ourselves in ways that we want to see ourselves engaged. So that's another thing of like the back end is just really slow, because we want to do this with intention, and the hope is always to like build programming frameworks, examples of different infrastructure that we can share with others. So yeah, just thinking of this as a living archive upon living archives. So we're trying to create memories, y'all.
And we are we are. All right, next slide. Street team. All right, some of you have been part of our street team in the past couple of years. Our street team members are folks who just we need them all across the valley. Like, I'm only one person that can drive around and drop off flyers at locations, but to have a team of folks in different counties and different cities who we can get printed matter to. A big part of ENTRE is having printed matter to distribute. We believe that not everything should live online, that there's a beauty and a magic to a tactile like thing that you can hold and take notes on and save in your own personal archive. Some of our flyers are beautiful. Like, I think most of our flyers are beautiful. We always put in a lot of effort to our flyers, to our printed media. So if you have access to transportation, or if you have friends that you want to carpool with, and you're like, what, I can do that. This is kind of this would be like a more on your own time sort of thing. So it's not really structured in that way. Only that if a big event's coming up, we need flyers to go out all over the county and all over the region. then we disperse those flyers to our street team and give them locations that we've already put those flyers up in, where we know that they will accept our flyers and calendars. And then if you have ideas about other places, like we don't know every single place in the valley to flyer. So if there are places in your community that you think would enjoy having our flyers and we need to be present there, then please take them there and share and talk about what we do with the baristas, with the shop owners, with the librarians, whoever you think needs to know. So that's kind of the vibe for Street Team.
Yeah, it's an amplification and, you know, a desire to serve the community, and like the valley's big, right? Like, and transportation is a big accessibility challenge for a lot of people. And so yeah, we're hoping with the street team, like distributing our printed media, you know, considering that we are going to do seasonal, like we are going to have like kind of calendars that can be put up in different spaces. And then also just asking the street team to invite more communities to come and participate, of all generations, right? We really like the fact that ENTRE is very intergenerational. We really want to continue that type of like fostering that type of culture. And so, yeah, it's an ability to, you know, we want to find ways to engage in all counties, especially those that are often, you know, like they're isolated or hard to get to or hard to leave. And so, yeah, we really want to encourage folks to, you know, that build that community with us.
And then finally, we have general volunteering roles. So, you know, we just talked about like kind of teams or groups. These general volunteering roles are more things that come up, you know, regularly, like the maintenance of our library. That was just, we just got these beautiful new shelves in our space installed after the flood. The last, you know, we were able to get some shelves put up so that our library can be fully accessible. And our intern this past summer, Linda Smith, was amazing and was able to, with the help of volunteers, to kick off this project back in, I think it was June. Yeah, June we had some volunteer days, helped input titles into our database. And then she went ahead and she finished all the tapes. About 800 items are now on these shelves. They're cataloged, they're alphabetized, and they're sorted by genre. So
if you know C and I, like that, we love that.
This has been a dream. This has been a dream for years, and it finally happened. It took a flood to happen, but you know what? We're grateful, and we think that now we can have this is the start of how we want the library to operate. It's more accessible for folks to peruse and look for stuff. So as a general volunteer, you can come into the space, you know, during the times that will be open in the coming year and help maintain the library. So making sure that stuff, we have a box of stuff right here in the back room that's like for library intake. It's labeled library intake. So that's all these books that people have been buying and donating to us to help replace the books we lost in the flood, as well as videos and films and DVDs that people are donating to us. And then we have a ton of zines that haven't gone out on the floor yet, for people to review, because we want to put the zines also in the database as well. So if you're into looking at like printed media and films and stuff and doing research about the genres and the authors and stuff like that and inputting that into our Airtable database, and maintenance is probably where you want to be. And also what we're going to start implementing too is people's picks, like in the library, like your favorite pick, and you can write a little blurb about why you like this movie or this book, and we'll have it like on the item itself. So that's a little fun perk of like being one of the volunteers. You get to put your little mark on ENTRE as well, like find your personal space to also show what you love and share it with the community.
Yeah. This is something that we invite all volunteers to do. You know, if this is, even if you're not like in the maintenance or library intake, like you're still part of the team, and we want people to feel active and engaged in all areas, even if you're in a specific working group. And then, you know, always maybe in this way, like thinking how we want to engage in like intersect different groups and committees to continue to work, and that, you know, that'll happen organically as we come up with different programming and like visions for how we want to work. Tabling at events, that's a huge thing, especially because, again, we want to be intentional about how we engage with folks, making sure people are entering the spaces that we want to create with, like, you know, comfort, safety, just like a general like way of informing and just creating those contacts. And so we're asking people who, again, are like interested in like sharing more, connecting, are comfortable with public speaking, you know, who are really passionate about the things we're doing, and the things that you're doing with us, and the way that you can talk, you know, hoping to have some kind of like conversation about what's happening, like what is the screening, what's the goal, like just different ways to, again, engage with people and form those, I guess, foster that environment that we want to see, whether it's at ENTRE or whether we're going to a library or like any of these spaces. Like if folks are interested in supporting with it, you know, it also allows us to kind of gauge who's coming in, and like how should we engage with folks? Should we consider like more intergenerational like themes, or, you know, what are the programs that are really full and what are some that we can continue to tweak? And so this person really is someone that we can work with to kind of continue to influence and inform the type of work we are doing.
Yeah, and then the last one is our friend Angel. Thomas, I think, is in the chat. This is Angel, his little dog that we love so much, and you'll probably see her at all of our screenings here at the space. But yeah, recruiting new volunteers and members to ENTRE, like especially if you're tabling, being in a public space, like people want to know, like we're still very young. We're only going to be 5 years old next year. So, you know, like people, not everyone in the Valley knows about ENTRE. So we want to spread the word. We want to get people excited, and maybe there's folks out there that haven't heard of us, but it's the space they've been looking for, a space like ours for years or something, and they are happening to stumble upon it. So always spreading the good word of ENTRE to the public and beyond is something that we love. That also, you know, helps us in ways like you wouldn't imagine, like sharing on social media, you know, word of mouth to friends. All those things go, friends and family, all those things go a long way. And especially if you know how to chat about what we do, and once you get familiar with our work, our ethics, our principles, processes, like you can speak more confidently about the work we're doing. And of course, all of these things, they're skills that you build up, will provide training and access to different resources around each of these roles, so that way you feel confident in filling that position. And we are always open to feedback, suggestions of how we can tweak things to make things better. Maybe we're doing something in a roundabout way that you're like, actually, I think you should try this. Like, we want to hear that. We want to make our lives easier too. So if you see something, that's part of it. You know, this is a reciprocal relationship. So, yeah, that's that slide. Oh, I almost forgot about the garden club, and how dare me. How dare me. All right, another role we'll have to fill, and this is relatively new. We started a native plant garden in ENTRE's backyard this past March with the Native Plant Project. We planted about 17 native plants along the border of our parking lot and yard, and they have grown so much these past few months. I am always amazed going out there. I was out there earlier, and there was at least 25 butterflies on all the mist flower. So it's been popping. That garden club, I mean, the garden started through a relationship that we built with a Native Plant Project Vice President Jose Ayala. He was actually one of our contributors for our home movie Roundup back in 2023. And after he learned about what we did, he asked if, you know, there was any suggestions to equipment he should buy for the Native Plant Project so they can record their meetings and put them online for their membership. And I'd been wanting to start a garden for a while in our backyard. It's such an unactivated land in an urban space. I'm like, we need more green spaces in downtown Harlingen. And so I was like, what if I go film your meetings and edit them and put them online for you in exchange of you designing and build planting and maintaining this garden? And they were so down. It's been a year already since going to film those meetings and put them online. And now we're opening up the garden to people from the community to come meet us every Sunday from 5:30 to 6:30. Sometimes we stay a little bit longer because we start chatting, and then it gets nice around dusk hour. So we're inviting people to come and help us maintain the garden. That involves, weeding, picking up trash. A lot of trash blows into our yard because we're right by the alley and we don't have a fence. So, keeping it looking good, having ideas for like new landscaping and things we can add to make it more enjoyable for our community. Ideas for programming at the garden as well, like workshops or screenings or platicas that we can have outdoors. We want to use the space to its fullest, and also just have a space where people can just enjoy being in nature surrounded by native plants, learn about native plants and why it's important to consider planting them in your lawn too. So yeah, that happens every Sunday. And some of the roles, same, like I said, would be maintaining the garden, but also in the future, we're also looking for folks who can also assist me with filming the meetings at the Valley Nature Center in Weslaco. They're every fourth Tuesday of the month. I've been able to attend most of the time, so, but there are times when my schedule has conflicts. So if anyone would like to attend those meetings and film them for us, that would be awesome, just to have that additional support around. So that's part of how you can help out with the garden club too. You don't need any experience either to join garden club, just a love for plants.
Yeah, this is definitely C's baby, so come and support their baby. And I'm sad that I'm not there because I would totally be all about it. So please go for me. And also another thing is this is us practicing our principles and values, right? We're creating alternative economies through barter, time exchange, through we are living in really difficult times, and we have been for so long, but this is our way of wanting to build with community, share skills, barter, that way we're accessing the things that we need and want to see happen, right? And so it's really cool to see it from a distance. Again, I wish I was there. We do have a lot of dreams about getting tables and a little covering at the top and awning. So even considering how this is nourishing our community, if folks are going to come and work in the space, they can take a step out and enjoy the garden, or it's another element of community. And C also uses an eco-friendly processing for film, and that includes plants. So again, there's all these intersections that we're always working through, and just being this is an amazing way of just showing agency and autonomy, creating the things we want.
And it's very healing. I think a lot of the work we do heals in various ways. I know for me personally, dealing with the aftermath of the flood, the garden was a sacred space for me, and going there every morning to just check on the plants and be around them just really got me through that really hard few months of rebuild here at ENTRE. And I just want that to be something for everyone to find connection in their own way, and using nature as a healing tool. So garden time. So yeah, now we have a time for questions. We've answered whatever was in the chat. If anyone has other questions, please drop them in the chat. We have about 8 minutes we can stay on for. But you can always reach us at our email is the best way to reach us. Our social media DMs, I mean, sometimes we're able to respond to some, but they get lost in the sauce, with them coming in. So And also, I don't like being on Instagram, so I might miss things sometimes. And yeah, you know, it's only two of us monitoring that. So email's always best, that being said. Also, sign up for our newsletter. We're also going to be revamping our newsletter in the coming months, thinking about more, more than just one dispatch a month. That way you all can hear more from us beyond our offerings and the resources that we always try to uplift and share, and the community board that we have and the different calls to action that are around our region. We still want to share all that, but we're going to kind of break it up, I think, in the next few months. So definitely by January, you'll see a new form of newsletter coming through. And then our website is always being updated with all the information. Our blog, it has been active this year, so if you haven't checked out our blog, we've all written stuff about different programs and things that we've led. So check it out. You can hear a little bit more from Monica, me, and even our intern Linda. And we hope to just continue with that as well. So
And it can also be another area where folks can get active, right? Like we want to make sure that we're amplifying and lifting all voices that are coming in, and like really thinking about different ways to build and, you know, really just like raise the level for the way we want to work together and care for one another, and also see each other prosper, right? Like developing programming that can support folks who to make work that can then travel, right? Or like to reimagine memories and archives as a way to really activate and share more insight on where we come from and who we are. So all these different ways I think is really cool to engage with Entre. Like again, if you're just curious and want to come and hang out, like that's also an option. And as C said, it's on a rolling basis. We hope that people will, you know, come with curiosity and also like self-awareness in terms of how we engage with others, like mutual respect and love and tenderness, but also being aware of, you know, the way we want to work with one another. Like, how do we hold each other accountable? How do we, you know, address, you know, the very real things of being human and alive, right? Sometimes things happen. Sometimes some of us are carrying more at certain times. So really, we want to encourage that ability to communicate with one another. And again, these are skills that we can share and work on together. So we also ask folks who are coming in to come in with a little bit of curiosity and vulnerability, again, to see the ways that we can connect and, you know, create this little Entre ecosystem family, chosen family, you know, and that's the beautiful part. We're choosing to be here and we're choosing to be a part of this. Oh yeah, and I think I want to invite C to read this poem that they created.
Yes, I'll read this poem and then I'll answer Adi's question. So I wrote this poem, I don't even know when, a long time ago, but I just posted it. I published it for the Cine Futuros program. So it goes, Entre mundos y idiomas, we dream of a better way. Like the river changing course over centuries, encontramos las historias olvidadas, waiting for the moment where water and memory meet and become the next sun. So we love the merging of different worlds, as we mentioned, cada cabeza es un mundo, the different languages that we share with one another. And how does that all create something new that we all want to see exist for the future? Because Entre is more than just right now. Hopefully it can go beyond into the future for future generations. And,
Yeah.
And with that being said, thinking about the future and generations, Adi has a question. Hello, I've spoken to C about this, but I wanted to ask her to have a conversation about it. Is there any plan to move away from meta apps or creating other channels to discuss Entre activities? Amazing question, Adi, and yes.
Yeah.
We need to move, we need to divest and we need to move away. from Meta, from big tech. Monica and I have been having these conversations for months. It's
Yeah.
very hard to detangle from things like Google, but we're working towards it and would love to talk about ways people are doing it on there personally. I think that personally, Adi and I have had this conversation about using alternative methods of engagement for our community to learn about what we're doing, what programs we're offering at ENTRE. And so thinking about creating like a Discord channel that people can sign up for and learn about what upcoming programs we have sidebar conversations about different topics just in the ENTRE world. Um, Even like just like a group chat, email group, other ways beyond social media, beyond Instagram, beyond Facebook. How can we engage? I know that Valley is very heavy on social media in terms of getting the word out for things, and that's great. Like I think it's necessary for some like some instances, but thinking about how we want to live by our principles and our values, like it requires, this very deep look at divesting from big tech and meta and things like that. And we are we're working through it, but would love to hear your ideas on how to do that in different areas of our org.
Yeah, and these are also like great ways of engaging with us. Like that would be amazing. We are always in conversation about the the hardship that it is to kind of move in these ways because it creates that divide between us and community. So it's like wanting to meet people where they're at, but also how do we divest and create our own independent media, independent news sources, independent, just groups, right? And who knows, like we can, as we come together with volunteers, we can really consider like what are some things that we can do now and what are things that we can do later. Like, do we want to use Signal? Do we want to use like all these other elements? But again, like this is the opportunity to really get like a high level overview. Like everything we've shared is high level. More.
We try to
And like,
keep it as high level as possible.
but yeah, in this way, like once you get an idea of what we're like really trying to recruit and see grow, this will be an opportunity to again like how do we govern ourselves? What are the tools that we need to make sure that we're able to see our work through and support our communities and provide these different access and resources for creatives and folks who just want to explore arts and culture more. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's a good way to
That's a
kind of
good,
talk.
yeah, no, and so definitely open to all these new suggestions. I was just trying to open our interest. Monica, do you have the interest form ready, available,
Yeah.
so we can drop it in the chat? So now that you've listened to this info session and you've made it to the end and you got to check out all the different roles and maybe some things are piquing your interest and things like that, we created a interest form to help you kind of help us get a little bit more info about you, what you're interested in learning and being a part of, suggestions you might have, um, all that stuff. So that way we can learn a little bit more about you and start gathering in the groups that we had mentioned before. We're hoping to have an in-person and virtual, hybrid first meeting for the film programming committee in November, probably like mid to late November, post holidays or maybe before the holidays. We have some time blocked out on our schedule, but just that's when we're hoping to meet so we can start discussing plans for 2026. And then another thing we're hoping to fill soon are volunteers for Home Movie Day. That would be sitting with our contributors and listening to them and typing out their stories, their memories that are in association with the films that we are previewing. So yeah, we're gonna drop the interest form in the chat. Also, this YouTube live will be archived on our website, and the interest form will also be linked on the website. In the blog, we'll share that on social media and in the newsletter this coming month, so that way you know where to find it. You can just go to our blog on our website. There will be a post about the info session, and you can go in and access the video and the interest form. And yeah, this will live on our YouTube from now on. And yeah, thank you, Alexis. We actually really love doing these YouTube streams, and one of the ideas we're thinking is maybe starting like a little show or something, and that could be something that we do together with volunteers and other folks who want to get involved with that. So more on that later.
Yeah, I can't access the chat for some reason. See, I just sent you the link for the interest form. If you can drop it.
In our chat, can you drop it in the Google chat?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh,
I'm not on my Mac, so I can't just copy paste. Thank you. All right.
There it is.
So here's the link to the interest form. If you're in the chat right now, you can go through, fill it out later this evening, or think about it and fill it out in the coming days. Like I said, we're trying to have a film programming committee meeting in November. And then also in November, we want to activate some Home Movie Day volunteers. So fill it out, share it with people you think would be interested in joining us. And yeah, with that, we've already gone over 4 minutes. So I think we'll sign off and wish you all a good night. And thank you all for being here.
Bye, y'all. Thank you. And we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you soon.